so we'll start sharing those for people who are not able to come here and attend. You can, well, when these are uploaded, you could go and watch the video. However, that will not count towards your director time. This is for you to get more information about something. Okay. The session tomorrow, it is about, as it says, about language and communication. What we are going to talk about, and what I'm going to show you. A few things that you can do in class, a few examples of activities that you can do in one-to-one intensive interaction way. Not intensive interaction as you know it, but a type of session that you really engage with the learner and it happens, and you teach communication in an intensive way. All right? And this session, it is about children who they have some level of understanding. They're either verbal and non-verbal. We won't be talking about PMLD children like those in Maghreb really. We'll be talking about children stepping on curriculum and climbing up as well. So it will apply to what you have in your class. I will show you how to set up and deliver short focus activities and how to teach new skills and how to go over skills that the children have mastered. And hopefully this is a kind of thing that could be a routine activity, and the only thing that you need to deliver something like that is a desk, a quiet area, and a box. Now, did you do the milestones training?
Yeah.
Yes. One part of the things that we talk about in the milestones training is that there are pretty much 11 communication stages here. What we are going to cover is in that session is about intentional communication, gestures and sounds. These are the children who are from here and above, who communicate intentionally. About milestone 5, and in particular those who are able to use signs, or they're learning to exchange symbols or apply meaning to objects or symbols or pictures. Okay? Now, what we will the method that I'm going to show you, it's based on something called Discreet trial teaching, which again is loosely based on ABA, the same way PBS is based on ABA. What Discreet trial means is you take a skill that you want to teach and you're breaking down in small parts. For instance, if you want Johnny to use symbols to indicate what he wants, you've got to teach Johnny to recognize that the symbol, for instance, if you want Johnny likes pears, okay? If you want Johnny to be able to use a symbol or a symbol of a pear or a picture of a pear to communicate what he wants, first he needs to understand that the cut thing that he eats is the pear, that this is the same thing with the pear, that's a photo, then that the photo is linked to that the photo is a pear, that in order for him, and then what does he need to do with that symbol, with that photo? And Johnny then needs to give the photo to you, and then he takes the pear, and then he gets the pear.
Is that not pegs?
It is, but what I am telling you, in order to teach a child, yes, that it is a form of exchange, but pegs is how you exchange symbols. So now it's the steps that you need. If you want to get the child to use pegs, pegs is the system. Okay? If you want to get John, who doesn't have that skill, to get to the point that he will actually use the picture to exchange, to communicate, you need to break that down. What do you need to do first? Because if you keep on going that, John needs to associate that with what he is. And this is just an example. That might be teaching child to go to the toilet, teaching a child new words, to say something, to do a sign, for instance. If Johnny can sign, then you need to teach. For instance, for an apple, you teach him the motor action. Then you teach him that this means apple, and then you teach him that if he does that, when he sees an apple, and if he does that, he's going to get the apple. Okay?
Yeah, but then this is for non-verbal, isn't it?
This is an example. You can do that for verbal children, you can do that for non-verbal children. As we go along, you'll see, because this will help you. For instance, if you want to teach children how to read a word, we'll do examples like that. But the basic premise of the discrete trial teaching is you get what you want to teach, and you think how you can break it down in small steps, and you start delivering those small steps.
Okay, and this would be for primary, like, the beginners. Like, we come into post 16.
This,
are we going to begin with this? No.
Okay, if you start me go through
Yeah.
who you are going to do that to, you'll make a decision based on what the child needs. I cannot tell you that this is for a primary child or for a secondary child. I'll show you what the basic premise is, the basic idea.
Yeah.
Then with that, then you can go back to your teachers and you can talk about this, and then you think who this might be relevant to. Okay, there is not a straight answer to that. It's whoever, and you pitch it at different levels depending on where the child is at.
Sure.
And also, you would probably, this is something that you would do with things, so you would start to, using things that they are motivating, they're interested, that the child is interested in, and it's a good way to teach functional skills, to give them the skills to do things that will help them in their lives. Now, in this process, there are 5 or 6 steps. First, you start with an instruction. You have a red, and a blue. First thing you do, you get the child here, all settled. The red and the blue, and you ask the child to point to the red or to touch the red or the blue. Okay? And you say point to the blue or point to the red, and the child does this. So you're sitting ideally opposite them. The first thing, one of the most important things, it is the instruction, and it needs to be clear. Very, very clear. You need 2 words. Do this. Touch the blue. Point to the blue, give the blue, whatever, and we'll talk about how you differentiate, how you give the instruction, but it's very, very clear. And you wait. Then, you might need to prompt the child. So, if the child is sitting opposite you, and you ask them to touch the blue, and they don't do anything, you might need to point at the beginning. And actually, these need to be the same shapes, because then I understand, because the color is that you're focusing. So think that those 2 are squares. Okay, you ask them to touch the blue. If they don't do anything, you might need to prompt them. You either point, or you might do it hand over hand, and then you go back and you will ask them again. You will start with a less prompt that you can give them, and then you increase the prompt until they respond, and then you go back and you ask them again. And you want to help the child to get to the stage that you tell them, touch the blue, and they will touch the blue. So you give the instruction, you prompt, might be gestural prompt, might be hand over hand, you might be pointing, but you give some prompt. You may not, the child may do it, but even if they do it, it's 50% chance. You need to go back again and again and again to see whether actually the child knows which one is the blue. Now, what's with the responses? What responses can you get if you ask the child to give you to touch the blue?
They'll just pick anything. If they don't know what for you not to know whether or not they know what the blue is.
Yeah, what responses is it possible that you get
Either he won't do
in a
nothing.
question? They won't do anything?
won't
Just
be
sit there and
Yeah,
Yeah.
or?
Or he may touch both of them because he thinks it's a playing object, because he's not understanding initially.
Yeah.
But then gradually, I think he would
Okay.
try to,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah. Immediately, yes, all these things, but they are, you either get a correct response,
Yeah.
which means they will touch the blue, or an incorrect response, which is they will do nothing, they will touch the red, they will touch both of them. Okay, they are largely two scenarios. When the child, so Jane, will or will not point to the correct colored card. Now what you do? There's a consequence for the correct response, which if Jane touches the blue, even if you have prompted her, yes, blue, that's blue, well done. And there's a great deal of acting here. Blue, well done, great, brilliant, that's blue. People say blue. Or Jane may give you an incorrect response. She may go for the red, she may go for the blue. What do you think you will do?
I would, well, again, depending on the ability of the child that you are with, if they are, because there's children in my class that you have to basically do the hand over hand and pick up the blue with their hand and say this is blue, and then go to the other one and say this is red.
Okay, say you ask them to touch the blue, but they are touching the red. They gave you the incorrect response. What is your immediate reaction to that?
I would say it positively. I would say, good try, Jane. And then I'd say, blue. I would like you to touch blue. I would emphasize on blue. I would say you did a good try because she tried, isn't it? You can't say no.
Why not?
Because she put her off,
It's a
isn't
negative.
it?
Does Jane understand what trying means?
Depends on the child, isn't
Does she
it?
understand? The child that you just mentioned, the child that you have in mind,
Yeah.
does the child that you have in mind that you said, good trying,
Yeah.
with a smile,
Yeah.
does the child understand
Yeah.
what trying means as a verb?
Yeah.
Does this child understand
Who
that
I'm talking about,
yeah.
when I say stop, he stops.
Does the child understand what trying means? And there's a reason I'm asking that. Do you
I'm
know
not
that
sure.
they do?
Probably
Well,
not.
what the child though understands is when you talk to them with a big smile on your face means that they've done something right. Have they done something right? No. So the child needs, when they give you the incorrect response, you need to respond in a way that the child understands that this is not what they expected to do.
Okay.
You are not negative, instead, in a very gentle way, if Jane touched the red, probably wouldn't say much or you wouldn't say anything. You'll say, okay, let's have another go. Or you would give a distraction, okay, can you touch your head? Let's have another go. Can you touch the blue? If she doesn't, or you may just take it. So a very important element of the discrete trial teaching is when the child gives you the incorrect response, your response is neutral. Because you don't know if, yes, you want to praise the effort, however, are you helping the child? Because at that time, the child doesn't understand. If they are low ability, they will not possibly understand whether they gave you the right response. And eventually, it will be hard for them to understand which one is the blue, what's going on here, okay? So you need to be very clear. You wouldn't discourage the child, but your response, it needs to be differentiated so they get to understand what this was expected of them. So this is the blue. What was expected for them to touch the blue, to understand, to know what the blue is. So your reaction helps them understand whether they gave you the right response, okay? So that is something to be very mindful. And generally with the children, how you react to the incorrect response.
But you know, even Evelina, even the lowest of low of the children know what no means. You know, you're not meant to say no, but a lot of them know that when you say no, then they've given you the wrong one, and that is why it's really difficult if we can't use the word no, because they do from home. That's inbred in you. Yes or no, isn't it?
You can, but in that situation, no to me is not a gentle necessarily.
No, but there's ways of saying no, isn't there?
You need to be, you know the child, and you need to be very mindful.
Yeah.
I never say no when a child does that. I pause to create a gap in that moment, and I will go again. Let's have another go.
Okay.
Or I will instruct them to do something else that I know they know. For instance, if they do this, I pause, don't say anything, and say, oh, can you clap? Because I know they can clap, so that's a distractor. I pause for a second or two, and then I go back. Can you touch the red? Okay? I personally don't say no, because that may evoke other responses. I pause, I ask them to do something else, and I come back to that question. Okay?
Okay, but again, doesn't that depend on the individual child that
It
you know in
depends
them?
on the individual. Now think about all those things. I'm letting you know how I do it, how it is done.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yes.
it's got to be with the individual child that we know how they will respond to that.
Yes,
well.
and you need to be mindful about every single word you say in that process, how the child understands it,
Yeah.
and how it interferes with exactly what you try to do in that moment. This is a very intense session. It's not play necessarily, but and everything you say, it matters.
Yeah.
Okay? So you want to provide the less confusion to the child, if you like. Right?
And even time, you know, if you're saying it's quite intense, then you need time. Like my 19-year-old boy, if I ask him something, and then after that, he's got a 10 minutes timer.
We will get to the pace.
Okay.
Okay? And then you can use distractors, as we said. You can ask the child to clap, or you go back to other skills, and you return to this. All right, so far? It will make more sense as we go along. With these sessions, it's an opportunity to build joint attention, so you and the child are focused on working on the same thing, that you are both in that moment. You can do work on imitation skills. You can ask them, can you do that? Can you do this one? Or can you touch your nose, so that you teach them to follow instructions. You can work on behavior a lot, but we're not going to get to that in this session. Of course, it builds language and communication, and you can teach the child how to start having conversations, and it's very much also that will help them with the social interaction, but also you are having an interaction with the child. Okay? How does it work? You should have identified the skill you want to work with, okay? And there are different categories of skills. There are receptive skills, which means the child understands something. For instance, if you tell Johnny, can you show me the pear? That is a receptive skill, that Johnny understands the pear, what pear is, okay? Then, if you ask Johnny, if you have a pear and another things here, for instance, if you have this, that, and you ask Johnny, which one do you want? Johnny, oh, what is this? If you ask Johnny what is this and tells you pear, this is expressive. He is able to tell you, okay? So, which one is receptive? You want to know if the child generally understands, and that applies to anything. What is it? It's an expressive skill because they need to tell you, show you, communicate that to you. Or it can be a motor imitation. If you want to teach a child to sign porridge, for instance, you will start, can you do this? Can you do that one? So you want them to imitate that motor skill, or you can give them, if you want to get the child to the point that they will make porridge, you need to teach them that. You need to teach them how they do it, and then you may start playing with the milk like this. Can you do that? And then you may stop, and you say, "Oh, can you show me pouring? How you pour?" So before you get the child to the point that they are able to make porridge, you need to go through all these stages, okay? And that it is by imitation or show me how you pour and all those things, all right? So you identify what you want the child, what you want to teach them, you break it down, individual steps, and you might have a program that may look like this. This is a very simplistic way, but this is what do I want Johnny to do? Okay, I want him to identify a pair from the choice of 3. I want him to identify a picture of a banana from a choice of 3. I want him to learn to sign porridge, which is the expressive skills, or how to pour milk in a porridge bowl. Right? Then, the individual, the child should, the adult, preferably, you sit in an arrangement that looks like this. It would be a desk, and the child would be opposite you. And what you need to have, it can be here, it can be at a chair, the box. You need to have the box with the skills that the child is working on. I'll show you that. How it works, and all the things that you need to use. For instance, for that session, I may need the porridge and the pen, and I may use, or I may or may not use the milk. You need to start with some motivators, so reinforcers. Say, if this is Johnny, I would go up to Johnny, because I want to pair it up and make it fun, and I'll say, hey, look what I've got. Okay, I need to volunteer now. Say you're there.
Yeah.
Come on, I know that you like it. Look what I've got. You like this, that's why I'm not Okay, let's go play with it. Okay. But you know that's your routine, so you sit down there. Okay, Johnny, you want to sit there? Well done, good boy. And I'll give you this to occupy yourself with while I'm sorting myself out. Alright, so these are the motivators that you can have on your lap or whatever, and you give the child, so you pair it up, and it starts, in a fun way. And you give some of those for free at the beginning, because you're very generous. Now, and we've got, can you just think that, can you get into a character, a child in your class who is probably not non-verbal and at the early stages of communicating? What I'm trying to teach Johnny now, what I have in this box, is a bunch of skills, okay? One pile is what I'm teaching Johnny, so I want him to receptively identify the bananas, and I want him to receptively identify a pair, so these are the skills he's working on, and sign porridge, etc. And these are the skills that, can I call you Johnny?
We call you Johnny, whatever you like.
Okay, fine. And these are the skills here in this box that Johnny has mastered. Johnny, for instance, can identify the burger receptively. Johnny can sign apple. He can sign juice. Okay. Also, if I say to Johnny, do this, and I have in parentheses, brackets, touch your nose, can you do this? Johnny can do that. So that's that is a motor imitation, and notice that the different cards have different colors because they're different skills. Do this, it's a motor imitation because I'm doing it and I'm asking Johnny to imitate. And here says clap your hands. That is a pink card, which means I'm giving you an instruction. Can you clap your hands? Okay, right. So, and when I am doing the session, I will go. It will be a mixture of what I'm trying to teach you and what you know. And then in between, I'll give you your reinforcers. Now, pacing. Children, as we said, children have different process information with different speeds, of course. Why pacing is important? You have an idea of how long it takes the child to respond to something. You ask them an instruction, you wait for a bit, then you will prompt them to help them with the answer, and you'll come back to that. You try to make that response come sooner, come faster. It is important that you do not wait longer than necessary, and you gradually try to pull it back, and that time is shorter. Why? Why do you think that is?
To lose interest.
Yeah?
Because his concentration level is quite low, isn't it? Yeah. He needs to get a child to focus more than 5 minutes. Is like,
we're talking about pacing here. What? Yes.
Yeah.
What else is important? Okay. It is a skills that you want the child to use functionally, or if you have a verbal child, you want them eventually to be able to communicate. If you let it longer, the child learns that it is okay for me to wait for a minute to respond. You want them to understand that the expectation is that they should respond to you as fast as possible, okay? You make that pacey, and also by going through the mastered skills, you teach that quick response, yeah? And you want the child to learn that they need to give you, when you ask them something, it's not let's wait.
It's an automatic response.
Well, you want it to be automatic, but the child, you expect the child right then to give you a response. So, and this is how people interact with each other. Okay? So when the child will go to use the symbol, when they go for lunch, they learn, okay, I look at something, so I look at this, and when I look at this, and I know that I want it, I need to do that. So it snowballs, okay? One leads to the other. We talked about, now, right. I am going to go through those skills. So, Johnny, hi, give me 5. Great job. Johnny, can you clap your hands? Can you do this? Can you do that one? Great. Okay. What's this? You know the sign for this. That's biscuit. We may have one. Great job. Well done. Okay.
Actually, there's a boy in my class, that's what he does, he does sign. Exactly.
Okay, right. Now, Johnny knows pear. Okay? He likes pear. He doesn't know that this is pear, so I would leave this here and say pear. Touch the pear. 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 Touch the pear. Shall we smell the pear? So Johnny gets that we are talking about the pear now. So I intro that we are talking about the pear. Okay. And then can you do this? Can you do that? Good boy, great job. Okay. Can you show me the pear? Can you do this? Show me the pear. touching, so I reward the fact that with prompt, you touch the pear. If you didn't, I wouldn't. Okay? Right, so, can you sign this? Great job! And can you tell me which one the burger is? The burger, well done. Very good. Good boy, Johnny. Can you touch the pear? Pear, well done. This is a pear. I think Johnny deserves something, okay?
Right.
Okay, and now that Johnny's playing with this, I made some notes about how many responses Johnny gave me, and usually is a tally chart, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got the pear, and then now I have, okay, Johnny, banana. Who takes the banana? Well done, and I would probably have a same picture, another, let's pretend that these are two the same, okay? And I would say to, can you match the banana? Can you match? You know what matching means?
Yeah.
So the,
So,
not as a person, but as the child that you
yeah,
pretend
they
to
do.
be.
But we usually do.
Okay,
you
fine.
know the
You
same.
can
We've
say,
got to
okay,
do.
can you
yeah.
match?
Yes, sir.
Can you
So
match the banana? Yes, you put it here. Banana. So we're getting used to banana, match the banana, touch the banana, smell the banana. Okay, and then. All right, then I go through again through whatever I have on the list. Can you say juice? Yeah, well done. Can you touch your head? Can you touch your ears? Great job, well done. Can you give me 5? Great job, right. Okay. Banana. Show me the banana. Banana! Well done! Well done! Can you do this one? Can you do that one? Great job! Good boy! Can you show me the banana? Excellent! Brilliant! Can you give me the pear? Pear! Well done! Good boy, Johnny! You're doing so great today! Okay, so, did you notice what I did when Johnny did not respond?
Yeah, he paused.
You paused. Did you find that was discouraging for Johnny?
No.
No. But when Johnny got it right, was it obvious that Johnny got it right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was like even phrase.
Yes. And did you notice how the pace was with the skills that?
Yeah.
And
I sometimes think, some of the kids have got the processing when you say the words actually,
yeah.
the slow processing level.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, how can we keep the pace with them actually? If their processing understanding level is a bit slow.
It depends on the child.
Sorry.
You will start with their level, but even, I mean, you have a child like Ashley, for instance.
Okay.
Ashley has particular processing issue, and it takes him a very long time. Oscar, and it's for the different reasons.
Yes.
Oscar wouldn't take as long, and Oscar
No.
is a type of child
Yeah.
that he would learn to respond faster.
Yeah.
So the other children that the processing difficulties is because there is a certain condition,
Yeah.
and there is the other children that the processing is because they need to learn and they need to practice.
Yes.
Okay? Now very quickly, you're not done yet. Now you're going to be somebody else. Now you're going to be another child who knows to read some words. Okay, so we had Johnny say, we've got George now. Okay, I want to teach those skills to George, and these are. So I have 2 piles. The ones and which to put it whatever. This is the pile that I'm teaching, and this is the pile that he knows. So we come here and say, hey, hi George, how you doing? It's
Am I
going
verbal?
well. Yeah. think of a verbal child in your class who is able to read probably CVC words if there is one. Okay? Very good. Right. Okay. Johnny, can you tell me what that boy is doing?
Skipping.
Skipping. Very good. And you'll see how I'm extended. What's that?
Chocolate.
How does the chocolate taste?
Yeah.
Say the
Yum.
Yum. Can you tell me something else that tastes yum?
Burgers.
Burgers. What's in the burger?
Cheese.
Cheese. Cheese tastes yum. What's that?
Crisps.
Crisps. What color are they?
Yellow.
Can you tell me another food that's yellow?
Banana.
Banana. Well done. Give me 5 banana. When it's raining, you need an
Umbrella.
umbrella. Okay. This is these sentence fillers. They call them in the ABA world introverbals. And what these, for instance, you say ready, steady, go.
Yeah.
This skill is what you use to build conversation because, for instance, you say, your name is,
George.
your mom's name is,
Maggie.
you live,
In a house.
how old are you?
6.
Okay, so they learn to give you those responses fast. So when then somebody asks them these questions, okay, for instance, when it's raining you need an umbrella. So when next time it will be raining, I'll ask you what you need an umbrella. Okay, and also you can tell me that this here says dog. Okay, we'll finish in a minute. So you need to go. All right. Now, you drink a tea with a cup. You drink tea with a
Cup.
cup. Okay, you are not supposed to know that. Sorry, I should have said that. You're not supposed to know. Now, you don't know that that's it.
Right, so I don't know what I've had.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
You eat soup with a spoon. Can you say spoon?
Spoon.
And I probably have something. You eat soup with a
Spoon.
spoon. Well done. What does it say here?
Dog.
Yeah.
Cat.
What's this?
Side.
Okay. What's this?
A lot of them don't know that. Elbow. Yeah, I know. Elbow.
2 + 3 =
5.
Okay, so you can throw in maths or whatever. You eat soup with a
Spoon.
spoon. Well done. Spoon. You eat soup with a spoon. So I'm teaching you, And then when you master the say now that you know and that is on this file. You eat soup with a
Spoon.
what else you eat? What else do you eat with a spoon?
Yogurt.
Yogurt. How does yogurt taste?
Yummy.
Where do you put the yogurt?
On the spoon.
Where do you keep the yogurt?
In the fridge.
What else do you keep in the fridge?
Fruit.
Do you know how you
Right, yeah.
with a child,
So it's
when
gonna
it's
go
more
to the-
verbal, how you
Build
can
it up.
build it up
And get more out of them.
Conversation.
and get more out of them. So you do it. The basic premise is the same. You have the learned skills. You have those who you work with. You ask the question. You give the instruction, they respond or they don't respond, or you prompt them. You give them a distractor, which is do this, do that, do the other, or you go to that. And then when I will go back to what I'm trying to teach, I usually pause. I create that, that second of space, and then.
So you keep going back on, so phone, everything, something else, and then go back to see if it's
That's right.
if it's gone.
Yes, I will not, and it might take a number of sessions
Yeah.
to get the child to understand, and I will do it again and again. And if you have forgotten some of what it is mastered, I will make a point and I'll put it on the side so I'll know to add it to that pile in here.
Right, cool.
Okay? Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Now,
good.
you can think about whether that could work for any children in your class, and I'm happy to come back to you. We have a big folder that we do an assessment.
Mm.
There are all these categories of skills: receptive, expressive, motor, imitation, etc. It's a folder like this, and we do an assessment of all the things that they know, of all the words that they know, and then you choose, okay, I want to teach them that, I want to teach them the other.
We've got a really tricky one in our class, Evelina, because he does not respond, or he doesn't even pull his trousers down when he goes to the toilet. So his mum does everything for him. You don't even know he doesn't even engage in what all he likes to do is flap. So whatever you're trying, he would take your card and he'd be more interested to flap it than anything else that you're trying to get him to do. That's his only interest, is flicking things. And that is really, really difficult. Anything flappy, he'll go around the class to look for, even a spoon. I mean, if you went to see our dinner hall, you would see him, he'd pick up a knife or a fork and he'd start doing that. Flapping, that is all you'll want to do.
Okay.
So he would be right at the end where you've got to introduce the whole...
Yeah, and with that child, you may do a session for 5 minutes. It depends. Some children you may be able to engage for 10.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be limited
And
with
some
this
of
child.
them, it might be just 5 minutes. And if in my next session will be about spontaneous communication for non-verbal children when they are nowhere near signing yet, they are just vocalizing, or they just reach for something, etc. So that I will cover that.
He's that, yeah. He's what,
But I'm happy to come and talk to you, Tis. I'm happy to come and look at them.
Yes.
But when you said the breaking down a skill, how it links to behavior, you said they wouldn't go to the toilet. The instruction is, there's another word for that, it's called the SD, what the instruction is.
He just stands there
Now,
basically.
what I'm trying to say is, if you want to toilet train the child, the way it snowballs, it becomes mechanical. You open the door. And when I open the door, the SD for that means, and then I close the door, and then I do that, and then I wee, and when I finish my wee, then I press the flush, and when I flush the toilet, then so they learn it in a snowballing road way. Again, you break up that
See, he knows where the toilet is and he knows what you do in the toilet, but he just stands there waiting for someone to pull his trousers down for him to do whatever he needs to do in the toilet.
Yes. So the pulling the trousers down would be something that you do it with prompt, and then you'll go back to it and fade the prompt and fade the prompt and fade the prompt.
Yeah,
But you need to be there and think about how you can break that, because instead of trying to get him to do that, you may start with unbuttoning the trousers, which may be a step. Unbuttoning the trousers and just pull them up to here.
He's always got joggers, it's easy.
Or whatever, if it is too much for him to go all the way down, you might need to start thinking how to break that skill down. And you may say, can we do this? Can we do that one? And then if he can do that with his trousers, I don't know. For some children it might be a step too far, and you may have to think, okay, how can I break the pulling the trousers down?
Because he's going to be a tricky one. He's in
My class one is very capable, but he wants adults to do it for him actually. One of the kids, I think he's the highest one, Joshua, quite capable, but he needs everything he wants. He wants adults to accompany him and do it for him.
Yeah.
So we are trying to encourage him. You can do that. He can do every single thing.
Yeah.
But he's a bit, yeah. I think he wants adults. Me too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.